Welcome back to my Geek Cave, and I'm not sure really what to talk about today. Well, I had an idea what to talk about. I was going to talk about retro computing. I'm kind of big into it. You can see behind me here. I don't know how well you can see. That's a Commodore 128D from like the late 80s. It still has a 5.25-inch floppy disk drive in it. A whopping, I think it's like 2 megahertz processor, maybe less than that. 128 kilobytes of RAM, not megabytes, kilobytes. So I'm kind of into that. I mean, because that's the kind of computers I started with, was the, those kinds of computers. So I still have them around. But I mean, the big thing I do with retro computing probably is bulletin boards. If you're kind of young, or you've never heard of a bulletin board, basically what it is, people would install this software that would allow you to be able to dial into their computer and leave messages for people, or even download files. And then other people would dial in. They would, reply to your message or post a new message, or they would upload a file or download a file. Now, this was back in the days of 300, 1200 baud, or bits per second, basically. Very slow. 300 baud. Imagine, good reading speed. This is a line of text. Basically, that's about how fast it was. And you can imagine trying to download just a simple picture, like a JPEG nowadays. Huge files back then, and took a long time to download. So porn, not so common. Not until, dial-up speeds got much faster. But, I mean, people still did it. There was even a store and forward networking called FidoNet that would allow you to send messages to other people on other bulletin boards, which was really cool back then. Especially for the time. I mean, nowadays, you hop on the internet and you can just, go to a website, to a forum, and you post, and you're good, and you're all that kind of stuff. But bulletin boards were where I really got into the retro computing scene, and that's where I'm still at. I do run a bulletin board. It's not up right now because I took it down for the move when we moved into the house, but it is going to be going back up. So, but I also did some podcasts for bulletin boards, or bulletin board, users, or people that wanted to know more about bulletin boards as well. It was called The Carrier Whistle. I think if you do a Google search, you can find it. I know there's a gentleman out there who's actually collecting some of my podcasts about bulletin boards, as well as other podcasts to post on his bulletin board website. It's kind of an homage to it, or just basically gathering all kinds of resources, because there's people out there that still run bulletin boards. They just basically hook them up to the internet, and you can connect into them using a simple telnet client. A good one is SyncTerm, and it's free. And I mean, it's kind of off-putting for some people, especially if you've never seen one, because it's text-based. Basically, there's no graphics, there's no HTML, anything like that. So it's very, very simple to say. But I mean, there's bulletin boards out there that have web pages, or web servers built on top of them, so you can post messages to the forums like you're used to on any kind of web page or anything like that. So, I mean, yeah, I run a bulletin board. There's still a ton of them out there, and there's even a documentary if you want to know more about it. Just go to YouTube. It's free. It was produced by a guy named Jason Scott. I believe he works over at the Internet Archives now, and he just basically archives everything. But he did this documentary called BBS, and it's 8 parts, and it basically does a really great job of showcasing the people of the bulletin board scene back in the early days, before the internet. This was way before the internet, late 70s, early 80s, well, the whole 80s and the early 90s, and then in the mid 90s, that's when the internet became commercially successful, and you started seeing companies jumping on and internet service providers popping up selling to regular everyday users all over the place, and banks were getting online. You could get on your well, the story. I mean, you've been around, I'm sure. But I highly suggest you go check it out. Check out the documentary. You can go right to YouTube. It's right there, all 8 parts. It's completely free. I believe you can even still buy it on DVD if you want to buy it and help support. He even did another documentary about text-based adventures. Remember Zork or Leather Goddess of Phobos or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or Deadline or any of those kinds of games? He did a documentary about those interactive fiction games. And it's really good. It does explain about the people and the genre of gaming. And it's, honestly, interactive fiction is still a lot of fun. It's a lot of great storytelling, and you really do get immersed in it. So I would say, if you've never played one, I'm sure you've probably goofed around with one. Zork is available, to play on a web page or something. Give it a try. See what you think, and watch the documentary. It's called Get Lamp, made by the same guy, Jason Scott. Check that out as well. So, but yeah, I'm very big into the retro computing. I'm actually going to be getting that Commodore 128 back up and running at some point, and it's going to have a bulletin board on it. It's going to have so you could basically connect in and play around on it, upload, download files, leave messages, that kind of stuff. So, but more on that. There's a lot more geeky stuff I can talk about with that, with the Raspberry Pi and the whole 9 yards there. So, but, yeah, retro computing. That's the gist of my post today. So if you've never tried retro computing, go check it out. Great magazine you can also check out. If you are a fan of the Commodore computers, it is Commodore free. It's from the Commodore User Group Club in the UK. Just do a search for Commodore Free. I believe it's commodorefree.com. And you can download episodes of their e-zine, their electronic magazine. Go check that out. So, but that's it. That's the retro computing episode for my Geek Cave. And, be checking back for more episodes of my Geek Cave. And please, subscribe on YouTube, as well as, rate us on our website. We post these over on XJock, albanyny.com. You can listen to our other podcasts as well, mine, BJ's and Monty's, the XCast. And you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on the Blueberry Podcast Directory, Podcastpedia, Stitcher Mobile Radio, as well as the TuneIn app. I'm sure I'm missing a couple others. But yeah, just do a search for the XCast, or go to our website, XJockAlbanyNY.com, and click on the XCast link up at the top, and it'll basically tell you all about where you can get the podcast, as well as listen to the podcast right there on the website. So thanks for joining me in my Geek Cave, and I will catch you next time.